So, what we have here is a complete collection of Ibanez Tone-Lok effect pedal series. It was released around the turn of the millennium, and it features a whole bunch of different effects and multiple of some. So we're gonna go through each one first, and then of course we're gonna have to do the mandatory test of having all the pedals on at once. As you might see if you check in close enough, you'll see that I have a Harley Benton tuner up in the corner there for two reasons. The first reason being that I had one spare cable for the power. I used 19 out of 20. I have dual power supplies, two Harley Benton AC with 10 ports, and they allow me to give power to all the pedals. And I had one to spare since there are 19 pedals, so I threw in a Harley Benton tuner there because I want to be in tune when I check this out, even though it might sound horrible when all the pedals are on at once. Obviously the tuner won't be on when all the other pedals are engaged, because then it will be nothing, of course, because it mutes the signal. Anyway, I've set up a somewhat clean tone here on my Marshall JMP1 preamp, going through a Harley Benton GPA 400 power amplifier. Yep. And here's the first pedal. I'm gonna go through these in alphabetical order, not in like proper pedal order or anything, because this is not really a pedal board that's supposed to be used. It has more of a show-off fact than actual practical. So of course I had to put them in alphabetical order, with the exception of the Wasp, which are on each end of the board, and the two limited edition releases of two of the pedals that were already in. So the first one will be the analog phaser. Oh, by the way, I've put all these pedals in what I consider to be their neutral position, so we kind of get the average effect of what the pedals can do. So analog phaser first. It's subtle, but it's there. Then we have the Autowah. Way more pronounced. And then we have the chorus Flanger, which is set on Flanger mode for this. Because we have another chorus pedal later on. Yeah, it's also there. Then we have the Delacy Echo, which is set to delay mode. Yep. And then we have the Distortion, just purely named Distortion. Not a very pleasant distortion to my ears, but it's there. Then we have the Fuzz. Quite similar to the Distortion, actually, but it can sound drastically different if you turn the knobs around a bit. Then we have the interesting pedal, the Lo-Fi. My pedal is a bit tricky with the switch, so sometimes it won't turn on, but now we're back in business. And in this neutral setting, it pretty much sounds like you're putting your guitar signal through a telephone. But you can go very drastic with it, and you can also choose if you want to have it set for guitar, which I have, or if you want to have it in a microphone setting where you use it as a vocal effect, or on drums. It has a separate switch for knobs, a separate switch for connecting it to drums. But I'm not a drummer and I don't have a drum kit, so we'll stick with the guitar setting. And then we have the Phat-Hed Bass Overdrive, which is one of the first Tone-Lok pedals that I actually got. And I've been using it to crank out a pretty mean bass distortion. Doesn't sound all that great on guitar though, but it's very good on bass. Then we have a phaser. Fairly neutral too in its sound in these neutral settings. Next up is the Phase Modulator, which was the last pedal I got in this collection. It was the one that took the longest time to hunt down, but I finally got it thanks to an amazing friend in France, because I actually found it online in a music store in France, but they didn't ship worldwide, so I asked her if she could buy it, and then I'll pay for the shipping for her to ship it over here. Which you gladly did, so thank you. And then yeah, it's kind of weird. It's definitely the most out there, together with the lo-fi. You can set it up to do really cool stuff. And then we have the Seventh Heaven, which is a distortion made for 7-string guitars or down-tuned guitars. It was the glory days of nu metal back in the day, so this was an appropriate pedal. Then we have the Smash Box, which is another kind of distortion. Sounds kind of hollow in this neutral setting. Then we have the Synthesizer Bass, which is most likely the very first Tone-Lok pedal I got. Way early, just 1 or 2 years after it was released, perhaps. I needed something for a cover band where I play bass, where I needed some synthy stuff going, and I found this one in a music store, and I bought it instantly. They had trouble selling it. No one wanted to buy it, so I got it at a fairly good price too. And then we have, listen to that, how that sounds. Kind of a wah effect. And then we have the Tri-Mode Chorus, which is also one that I've had for a long time. I've used it on guitar for many years, and I also used it on bass for a while. It has a nice chorus. Kind of 80s sounding to my ears. And then lastly we have the Tubescreamer. Probably the best sounding pedal in the Overdrive category of this board. And then of course we have the limited edition ones, which we'll save for last. Before we go on to them, we will tackle the wah. The wahs, the multiple wahs. First we have the Weeping Demon over here, which I've also had for a long time. It has the nice function of letting you choose if you want to activate it with the optic sensor and just put your foot on it, or if you want to activate it by pushing a button. So I've set it here to a kind of neutral setting, or everything in the middle, and the normal range. You can also set the range if you want it high or low, but I want it in the normal range here. So sounds like this. Yep. And the optical setting, I have to switch it over, and now it works when I put my foot on it. And the other one, up in this corner, or down in this corner, is a Weeping Demon Junior, where they stripped out some of the functionalities. So now it's only optic. You can't switch it on with a button, and there are a few less knobs on this as well to save space. And also they've managed to make the unit smaller by fitting the battery compartment inside the pedal instead of outside, with a little bulky extension here on the old one. But you can set them up to sound pretty much the same. And then lastly we have the limited edition green Tubescreamer, which was also quite a thing to get a hold of. I had to go through several online stores until I found one. I found one on Reverb that had to be sent through Russia, so that was quite a deal to go through. For a while I even wondered if the pedal would make it through, but thankfully it did. And then lastly we have the Delay Echo, also limited edition. By the way, the Tubescreamer and the Delay Echo here are precisely the same as the Delay Echo and the Tubescreamer that we've already tested. The only difference is the color scheme, where it has a green one for the Tubescreamer and the pink one for the Delay, and they also have black buttons instead of gray buttons. And one thing, let's listen to it first. So I have this one set to the Echo mode. Since I had the other delay set to delay, I set this one to the Echo so we can hear both modes. And for the Tubescreamer, there's a switch between regular TS9 level or hot level, which cranks up the gain even more. You can easily turn an amplifier into a shrieking mess with this pedal if you put it on hot mode. I've tried, but it wasn't deliberately. So let's engage all the pedals. Actually, let's do it one at a time. We'll do the alphabetical order, then the limited edition pedals, and then lastly the Wahs. So here is the clean tone again. Here's the phaser, analog phaser. Here's the Autowah. Here's the chorus flanger in the flanger mode. And here's the delay echo in the delay mode. And here's the distortion. And here's the fuzz. And here's the lo-fi. And then the Phat-Hed bass overdrive. And then the phaser. And then the phase modulator. And then the seventh heaven. That one is nasty. And Smashbox. And Synthesizer Bass. And then the tri-mode chorus. And then the Tubescreamer. And then the limited edition Tubescreamer. And then the limited edition Delay Echo. And then the... Oh yeah, that's a nasty wah. Let's put that in bottom mode, and let's use the other one to crank it up to all the way up in the treble range. And that does practically nothing, because the signal is so overly distorted. Yeah, not a very pleasant sound at all, but people have requested it, so they got it. Let's turn them off and go back to somewhat more decent audio territory. So that's it. Can take a little closer look here before we end things, and I just hit my microphone, sorry about that. This is what it looks like, if I can balance the camera. Oh yeah, and if you're curious, the board is a Rockboard Sync 5.4, and as I mentioned, I have two Harley Benton power supplies that have 10 outputs each, and the cables are a mix. The power cables are what came with the power supplies. I wouldn't normally use them. I normally use the EBS power cables. But for this thing that's just for show, I didn't want to waste all that money on those, so I used the cables that came with the power supplies. And all the patch cables are various patch cables that I had lying around. Some of them are Rockboard, some of them are EBS, and a few of them are Harley Bentons. But it seems to do the trick. I actually tried using a buffer, last in the chain and first in the chain, but there was no difference when they were there against when they were not, so I decided to cut them out of the signal chain anyway. I needed them for other stuff. So yeah, I hope you found this somewhat enjoyable or interesting, and thank you for checking this out. Go try a Tone-Lok pedal if you can find one. They're pretty cool. Oh, I almost forgot the most important part. You can use these buttons to push them down into the unit so they stay out of tweaking when you're carrying them around in a gig bag or when your feet are all over the board. It's a nice feature that I think should have gotten more recognition than it did, and I wish more pedals did that. It has saved me many times because I have big feet, and I also have bad aim with my feet, so I hit the wrong pedal all the time or hit knobs. But this helps me to stay on track. So yeah, thank you.